Hello there, this is James S. Crofty, Days 1978, and for the last month or so, by sheer coincidence, I've been watching two animes more or less side by side, which, although superficially similar, both being the stories of a group of travellers seeking to protect a girl who will doom and or save the world and lead her to her destiny, are mirror opposites when it comes to exposition, and as a result, require me to use the analogy of Momma Bear and Poppa Bear's Porridge once again, describing how they both utterly fail at storytelling because they either gave far too much or none at all. Because while the premise and the story of Scrapped Princess are so blindingly obvious from the word go that all of the later exposition is an unnecessary insult to our intelligence, literally if the characters had continued to call it magic and refer to their history as a war between gods and demons, then we still would have known exactly what was really going on. The creators of Wolf's Rain seem to go out of their way to explain absolutely nothing, instead simply showing us what happened and leaving us to figure out how and why from the scraps that we had picked up off the road. Indeed, the only anime I've ever seen in my life which even comes close to Wolf's Rain in terms of explaining nothing and hiding behind the fallacious shield of art house pretentiousness is Neon Genesis Evangelion. However, the comparison between those two anime is not really fair or accurate, because at least that pretentious train wreck was actually trying to make a point. As a brief side note, of course, the oh-so-clever point which Evangelion was attempting to make was entirely moot and utterly banal, because, newsflash, my friends, all heroic fiction from Gilgamesh and Journey to the West to Buffy the fucking Vampire Slayer have been nothing but dramatizations of the protagonists' internal struggles, with the villains and forces which they face being manifestations of their inner demons and the metaphorical obstacles which impede them, and the steps of the hero's journey being the stages of their growth and development as an individual. Therefore, the creator of Evangelion could have made exactly the same point about Shinji's emotional isolation and fear of growing up without abandoning the story to wallow in introspective bullshit. At the very least, he could have been bothered to explain what the angels were and why they were attacking the Earth in the first place. But as I said before though, at least Evangelion was trying to convey some kind of message or moral, whereas Wolf's Rain, on the other hand...
What? What does that mean? No, what?
And no, not because I wasn't paying attention. For the love of the great holy donkey, I even started watching each episode twice until I realised that it was a futile waste of time, or because the point was too sophisticated and intricate for my plebeian and pathetic little mind to comprehend. Remember, I'm the guy who explains supposedly impenetrable plots to everyone else, but because it literally was just, quote, a bunch of stuff that happened, with no explanation for how or why beyond the most superficial and self-serving motives of the characters, with no message or moral of any kind. Which brings us back to Scrapped Princess, because while that anime did at least attempt to explore the issue of free will and whether or not it's right to sacrifice the entire world to save someone who you love, after all of the build-up and dragging out the story for several more episodes, the conclusion was not only rushed and entirely anticlimactic, but made it clear that everything that had happened had all been a monumental waste of time, since one of the characters could have done something about it right at the start, rendering all of the conflict and thus the entire story null and void, causing me to literally yell at the screen, "Why didn't you just do that in the first place, you irritating artificial stupidity?" So when you couple this with the fact that the only reason why anyone could possibly fail to figure out before the end of the first episode that A, magic in their world is hyper-advanced technology, meaning that this is a post-apocalyptic society in which advanced technology is being kept from humanity by the regime in order to keep them in their place, and therefore B, the prophecy that Pacifica is the poison who will destroy the world, means that she will overthrow the imposed regime and free humanity from its imprisonment is that they're in a coma and somebody else is watching the anime while they are in the same room, what you're left with is an anime which is both pointless and grossly insulting, but in a way that is somehow the mirror opposite of the grossly insulting pointlessness that is Wolf's Rain. As a matter of fact, to paraphrase Movie Bob's opinion of the GTA franchise up until GTA 4 at least, my opinion of both animes is a really, really angry form of meh. Because there is literally no reason for either anime to exist beyond filling the void between Cradle and Grave, and as to which one I advise people to avoid, that's entirely a matter of taste, because between harmlessly light-hearted popcorn anime with tiresomely cliched action, comedy and adventure, along with detailed exposition in the later episodes, which does nothing but insult our intelligence, because, as I said before, we could have easily worked it all out for ourselves, and a deathly serious art house slog that lasts about 5 episodes longer than the boredom threshold of the world's most patient man can possibly endure, even if, like me, you skip the 4 recap episodes reminding you of shit that meant nothing at the time anyway, and you honestly don't give a damn about anymore because you just want this godforsaken anime to end. Please, end my suffering. It's all entirely a question of which option you dislike the least.